and welcome to the 33rd episode of Jazzology, presented by Savage Content. I'm your host, Willard Jenkins. We're here alternating Fridays, giving two jazz fans the opportunity to compete against each other for a chance to win $100. Each contestant will be asked a question worth 2 points. If they're unable to answer correctly, their opponent will have a chance to steal the question for 1 point. We'll ask 10 questions, and at the end of the 10 questions, the person with the lowest score will get a bonus question for the opportunity to tie the score. If they're successful, the game will go to sudden death. The person in the lead at the end of regulation will go first, and each contestant will take turns trying to answer the sudden death multiple choice question until we have a winner. Let's meet this week's contestants. Our reigning Jazzology champion is Nathan Holaway. Based in Lakewood, Ohio, Nathan is a teacher, saxophonist, and freelance jazz musician. He's the artistic director of the Northern Ohio Youth Orchestra's Vanguard Jazz Combo, and he runs his own Dr. Jazz podcast, which has produced over 200 episodes. So, Nathan, what's some of the best music you've been hearing recently?
Oh, I've been checking out a wide array. Let's see. I've been digging into some Sun Ra, which is always adventurous. Some live Mingus, of course. Jesus Molina, a newer cat on the scene who's a fantastic Colombian pianist. Some Fats Navarro and Dexter Gordon, and some Tom Harrell. So all around the board.
All right. Our challenger for this 33rd episode of Jazzology marks the return of trumpeter, composer, and author Muneer Nasser. In 1976, Muneer's father, the late great bassist Jamil Nasser, took Muneer to hear Dizzy Gillespie, and it was a life-changing experience, apparently. Yes. Since then, Muneer has written hundreds of compositions across multiple genres, but jazz remains at his core. In 2018, Muneer Nasser authored the music memoir, Upright Bass, the musical life and legacy of Jamil Nasser, his bass-playing father, who, among others, performed extensively with NEA Jazz master pianists Randy Weston and Ahmad Jamal. What are you listening to these days, Muneer?
Now, since Ahmed just passed, rest in peace, I've been listening to some of those rare recordings that were just released, that they recorded out west, Emerald Nights, some fantastic music.
Oh, yeah, the music that came out from that club in Seattle.
Yeah, that trio had amazing. I mean, he had other trios, and all due respect to those units, but that unit, and I may be sounding a little bit nepotistic, but those three men would just tear a stage up, man. And I'm sure everybody that's heard it testify.
There's nothing wrong with some proper nepotism.
Yeah.
Well, now let's get to today's Jazzology questions. And as our reigning champion, Nathan Holaway goes first. Nathan, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Nathan, National Endowment for the Arts jazz master, pianist, and educator Joanne Brackeen was notably a member of what great tenor saxophonist's band during the mid to late 1970s? Would that have been A, Dexter Gordon, B, Joe Henderson, C, Stan Getz, D, Wayne Shorter, or E, Joe Henderson and Stan Getz?
Woo! Talk about a murderer's row of just great horn players. Of course, Dexter Gordon is one of the absolute coolest, cats that there ever was. Joe Henderson is, he's just fantastic. Stan Getz is the sound, and there's been, what was that wonderful exchange between Getz and Coltrane that said, he looked at Coltrane and he said, I think it was in Dusseldorf, Germany. He said, man, I wish I had your ideas. And Coltrane looked at Stan and he said, man, I wish I had your sound. So, it's nothing but greatness there. And of course, Wayne is he's the Newark Flash. He is a superhero. So, but I remember Joanne Brackeen on quite a number of recordings, being a saxophone player. You know, I listened to all these cats. So, given the fact that this is Jazzology, I'm going to have to go with letter E, Joe Henderson and Stan Getz.
Yes, that is correct. The correct answer was Joe Henderson and Stan Getz, and that would be letter E. Thank you, Nathan. Muneer.
Yes.
Turn, you're up. Muneer, which of the following jazz greats notably toured and recorded with both the Count Basie and the Duke Ellington orchestras? Would that have been A, Lester Young, B, Clark Terry, C, Quincy Jones, D, Louis Bellson, or E, Sonny Greer?
Both Duke Ellington and Count Basie?
Yep. Toured and recorded.
Toured and recorded?
Yep.
Oh, boy. Sonny Greer is straight Duke Ellington, no Count Basie. Louis Bellson played with Duke. Quincy Jones played with neither. Lester Young played exclusively with Count Basie, as we know. So I believe the answer is, I'm going to go with letter B, Clark Terry.
That is correct. And Muneer, you're shifting around a little bit as you ruminate over these answers. So stay on camera.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll stay still.
Nathan.
Yes, sir.
The great pianist and songwriter Thomas P. Fats Waller was a native of which American city? Was that A, Chicago, B, New Orleans, C, Memphis, D, Birmingham, or E, New York City?
Well, you are talking about someone who's very near and dear to my heart and ears because I absolutely love Fats Waller. In fact, his friend, he actually hated, I read that his friend, he actually hated being called Fats Waller and that his friends called him Tom. So now I know that he has spent time in all of these places. From Chicago to New Orleans to Memphis. He even went, and I believe one of his first road gigs was down in Birmingham. But I believe that Fats Waller is from E, New York City.
That is correct. So we're batting 1,000 so far. Muneer, you're up next.
Yes.
Vocalist Carmen Lundy made her first New York City appearance with which of the following bands? Would that have been A, the Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra, B, Bobby Watson, C, Count Basie, D, Kenny Kirkland, E, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers?
Not sure about this one. I'm gonna have to take a guess. Never heard of Carmen with Count Basie, Kenny Kirkland. Art Blakey didn't even use a vocalist hardly, so we could just take him off. Thad Jones and Mel Lewis, they definitely used, but I never heard of Carmen Lundy. Bobby Watson is kind of, for some reason, sticking out in my mind. Kenny Kirkland, I don't remember him having a vocalist. Count Basie. Let me just, and this is a guess, I'm going to say Bobby Watson.
That's incorrect. With a chance to steal a point. Vocalist Carmen Lundy made her first, and I emphasize first, New York City appearance with which of the following bands? Would that have been A, Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra? Bobby Watson, B, has been eliminated. C, Count Basie. D, Kenny Kirkland. Or E, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers?
I'm kind of with Muneer on this. I'm going to have to guess on this as well. I do like Carmen Lundy's voice very much. And in fact, I love her being one of the cameos on Benny Carter's songbook 1 and 2. Those were great too, featuring a lot of vocalists. But seeing that I'm kind of seesawing back and forth between Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra and Count Basie, but knowing that through my process of elimination here, that the Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra was also known as the Village Vanguard Orchestra kind of at the time because they were inhabiting Monday nights. I'm going to guess with an educated guess through that and say letter A, Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra.
That is correct. She made her first appearance with the Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra when it was the Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra at the Vanguard. And I can certainly understand some rumination over Bobby Watson because Curtis Lundy, Carmen's brother, has played with Bobby Watson on many, many occasions. And so I could understand where Muneer was going with that one. But the correct answer was A, Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra. Nathan, your turn.
Yes, sir.
The clarinetist Buddy DeFranco made his earliest recording as a sideman with whom? Was it A, Tommy Dorsey, B, Count Basie, C, Lionel Hampton, D, Les Brown, or E, Buddy Rich?
Man, first we had the murderer's row of tenor players. Now we got this murderer's row of band leaders. So tell you what, Buddy DeFranco, what a great talent on the clarinet, and a cat that not a lot of folks talk about.
That's true.
Yeah, I do love some of Buddy's work. That being said, I'm kind of trying to break these down because Les Brown was both a saxophone player and a clarinet player. He could blow a mean clarinet. So I don't think that Les would necessarily give Buddy his start. Lionel Hampton, he did a lot of things, but the thing that's sticking out most in my mind is that he had mostly saxes staying on saxes. Of course, Basie did a lot of doubles. You had like Frank West doubling on flute and saxophone and stuff. Buddy Rich, it seemed like there was more saxophone work in that, like tenor to soprano, alto to soprano. Tommy Dorsey had a lot of doubles too. But I remember this one film of the Count Basie septet, and it had Clark Terry in it. So I'm going to go with B, Count Basie.
That is incorrect. Muneer, a chance to steal the point. The clarinetist Buddy DeFranco made his earliest recording as a sideman with whom? Was it A, Tommy Dorsey? B, Count Basie has been eliminated? C, Lionel Hampton? D, Les Brown? Or E, Buddy Rich?
I'm here again. I'm a guess. Buddy DeFranco. I'm going to say A, Tommy Dorsey.
That is incorrect as well. Buddy DeFranco made his earliest recording as a sideman with letter C, Lionel Hampton. Jazzology is brought to you by Savage Content. Savage Content is building music, art, and creative content for the soul, spirit, and empowerment. This week's spotlight is on the acclaimed vibraphonist. He's actually also a multi-instrumentalist, but in this case, he's a vibraphonist, Warren Wolf, and Warren Wolf's performance of the song Infant Eyes, originally composed by the great Wayne Shorter. For this particular screening, Warren is joined by Grammy Award-winning pianist Sullivan Fortner Jr., super talented bassist Russell Hall, and the enterprising Willie Jones III on drums for a Savage Content exclusive private session recorded live at the legendary Cutting Room in New York City. You can watch Infant Eyes and the previously released video Django, taken from that very same Warren Wolf and Friends Cutting Room session, by visiting www.youtube.com/@savagecontent. And as a reminder, you can also view past Jazzology trivia episodes at Savage Content's YouTube page. And starting with this episode, I'll be recommending a new record of the week. And for this edition of Jazzology, our record of the week is the latest from the very resourceful pianist, composer, and multiple band leader, Orrin Evans, titled The Red Door. Can you see that? There it is. The Red Door on Smoke Sessions Records. This particular recording features a powerhouse band of Nicholas Payton on trumpet, Gary Thomas on tenor sax, Robert Hurst on bass, and Marvin Smitty Smith on the drums. And that indeed is the same band that will play the DC Jazz Fest at the Wharf on Labor Day weekend. And for more information on that, you can visit dcjazzfest.org. And now it's time to ask our contestants our favorite question. Muneer, you responded to this once previously, but just refresh our viewers. How did you fall in love with jazz?
Well, you just gave it away. I went to see Dizzy Gillespie in 1976. And then after that, I was going around hearing jazz. Of course, my father being a jazz musician, I was hearing him with Ahmed as early as 1974. And I'm talking about somebody 7 years old, going to hear that level of music. And then even after 1976, we went to the Blue Mitchell tribute. I put it in the book, 1979. That's the most musicians I've seen in the room before or since. I'm talking about masters.
So
you name it. I can't even go through the list. We don't have enough time.
What was it about that Dizzy Gillespie performance that was such a touchstone for your development?
Well, as Dean Weston was up there, and he was a younger cat playing with a master like that. That put a seed in my mind that it was possible to possibly be up there one day as well.
So Nathan, you've answered this question before, but so we'll ask you, what are you listening to these days?
Oh, lots of different stuff. I'm mainly trying to really get into a lot of the live recordings, here recently. So I've been digging on a lot of like live Mingus, live Brubeck, Joe Lovano live, like at the Village Vanguard, with the guest Tom Harrell and stuff like that. Some of Sun Ra's live stuff when he had like just the quartet, in Italy, like the Disco 3000 album, stuff like that. There's a different vibe with live recordings than it is, studio recordings, and you kind of get that when you listen to it. And I'm just kind of trying to tap into that energy.
All right. Well, Muneer, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, Muneer. In 2014, the AACM, or Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians, trumpeter and composer Wadada Leo Smith formed a band he called the Golden Quartet. The drummer in that first edition of the Golden Quartet was NEA jazz master Jack DeJohnette. Who was the bass player? Was it A, Richard Davis, B, Malachi Favors, C, Fred Hopkins, D, David Eisenson, E, John Lindberg?
I don't listen to this particular mode of jazz that much at all. I know very little about this particular trumpet player because that's just not my forte.
Mm-hmm.
But that album music, of this ilk. So this could only be a guess because I know that Fred Hopkins and Malachi Favors are associated with this kind of music. I just don't know which one is alive now, or if both of them are alive.
Well, the answer to that is they are both ancestors.
But they might have been alive in 2014 because that's
of course
10 years ago. Yeah, this is a rough one for me. This is totally outside the realm of the music I listen to and record in my head. So I'm just going to be fast about it, take a guess, and say who? Should it be Richard Davis? I'm going to say Fred Hopkins. It's not C.
That's incorrect. Nathan, the chance to steal the point.
Okay.
In 2014, the AACM, or Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians, trumpeter and composer Wadada Leo Smith formed the band he called the Golden Quartet. The drummer in that first edition of the Golden Quartet was NEA jazz master Jack DeJohnette. Who was the bass player? Was it A, Richard Davis, B, Malachi Favors, C, Fred Hopkins has been eliminated, D, David Eisenson, or E, John Lindberg?
Ooh. Well, I've heard a few things by Wadada Leo Smith, and I've really dug them. Some things are more challenging than others. Divine Love, his work with Anthony Braxton, and the 10 Freedom Summer. That was a really important record.
Mm-hmm.
And his Yo Miles group, taking on the electric music of Miles Davis, is really cool too. But I have not heard this album. This is one that is on my list to check out, along with like the laundry list of many others. But I'm trying to remember. I remember seeing this advertised and saying like, yeah, I need to get on that. And I'm trying to remember who was with DeJohnette and Wadada Leo Smith. I want to say that it's A, Richard Davis.
That is incorrect as well. The correct answer is the bass player in that original Golden Quartet was B, Malachi Favors. And one of the keys to that question was the fact that Wadada Leo Smith was in the AACM. The only other AACM member amongst those bass players was Malachi Favors.
There you go.
So process of elimination might have told you that. Nathan, you're up next.
Yes, sir.
The drummer Allison Miller once played in a band led by which Hammond B3 organist? Was it A, Mike LeDun, B, Charles Erland, C, John Medeski, D, Dr. Lonnie Smith, or E, Joey DeFrancesco?
Talking about drummer Allison Miller.
Yes.
I love the Tick Tick Boom album of hers. That's a great album. And I do love me some organ players too. Have not heard all the plethora of music that's out there, but I have heard quite a couple of good ones. And Joey D, rest his soul, was one of the good ones. As was the good doctor, Dr. Lonnie Smith, a legendary, along with Charles Earland. Charles Earland,
the Mighty Burner.
That's right. Woo! I mean, that guy could even rock a Michael Jackson song and make it sound good. And, and of course, John Medeski's killer organ player, as Mike LeDun is as well. I'm not sure the answer to this one. I'm not going to pretend. But if I had to guess, I'm going to say B, Charles Earland.
That's incorrect.
Oh boy.
Muneer. Drummer Allison Miller once played in a band led by which Hammond B3 organist? A, Mike LeDun. B, Charles Earland has been eliminated. C, John Medeski. D, Dr. Lonnie Smith. Or E, Joey DeFrancesco?
I'll say C, John Medeski.
That is incorrect. The correct answer to that is D, NEA Jazz Master Dr. Lonnie Smith. Allison Miller toured with Dr. Lonnie for a couple of years. So Muneer, you're up next. The current score is Nathan 5, Muneer 2. Muneer.
Yes.
Which of the following great festivals is celebrating its 50th anniversary this summer? Would that be A, the Montreux Jazz Festival, B, the Montreal Jazz Festival, C, Umbria Jazz Festival, D, Chicago Jazz Festival, or E, Detroit Jazz Festival? And once again, you're off screen.
Okay. I'm just trying to look at the options, so it's hard for me to see. Let me just, it's kind of awkward. Montreux, let's see. Montreux's older, so it can't be Montreux. Chicago Jazz Festival, Detroit. Whew. I just looked at this. I didn't see the 50th anniversary for Detroit. Chicago, Montreal. I'm gonna let me see. Chicago, just looking at this. Umbria, I didn't see that. Montreal. Let me take a guess and say B, Montreal.
No, sir. That is not correct. Nathan, the chance to steal the point. Which of the following great festivals is celebrating its 50th anniversary this summer? Would that be A, the Montreux Jazz Festival, and B, Montreal has been eliminated? C, the Umbria Jazz Festival, D, the Chicago Jazz Festival, E, the Detroit Jazz Festival?
Whew. These are some great festivals. I know I agree with Muneer. I think Montreux has been around a little bit longer than 50 years. I think. Because I'm trying to go back to, because the Bill Evans trio with DeJeanette and Gomez was from 68, won a Grammy. So I'm trying to go back in my Rolodex of dates in my mind here. So, kind of going back and forth between Umbria and Chicago. Let's go with D, Chicago Jazz Festival.
And you had it. The correct answer is C. The Umbria Jazz Festival is celebrating its 50th anniversary in July, and I am extremely happy to say that I'll be there.
Wow.
Coming up July 7th to 17th, Umbria Jazz in the beautiful Italian city or town of Perugia. So, Nathan, you're up next. The score still remains 5-2. Trumpeter and composer Terence Blanchard was recently named the new artistic director of which of the following institutions? A, the Herbie Hancock Institute, which, as some of you may know, used to be the Thelonious Monk Institute, but it's now the Herbie Hancock Institute. B, Berklee College of Music. C, the Hollywood Bowl. D, SF Jazz. Or E, the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. Which of those institutions is Terence Blanchard the new artistic director of?
Terence is an amazing artist. Let me just, since we're talking about Terence for a quick second, I've loved his work that he did when he was with Donald Harrison, when they were a group together, and all those records for Columbia. And then all the way through what he's been doing, you know, with all of his film soundtracks and everything else. But with his thing, Fire Shut Up in My Bones, it's just absolutely phenomenal what he is accomplishing. And I hope he has many, 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 many more years of doing it, because I absolutely adore Terence and what he's doing. But that being said, these are all great institutes. These are all great things. But I'm very happy to say and proud for him that he is the new artistic director of SF Jazz in San Francisco.
That is correct. And just recently named in the last 10 days or so, taking over for the founder of SF Jazz, Randall Klein. All right. So, Muneer?
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
All right. Muneer, the annual Jazz Conference, which is known as Jazz Congress, was a partnership between Jazz at Lincoln Center and which of the following? A, Chamber Music America. B, Downbeat Magazine. C, the Newport Jazz Festival. D, Jazz Times Magazine. Or E, BMI.
Okay, I was there in 2019. I think I saw you there, Willard. I have a picture with me and you.
Yeah.
There. And Jacques Muall. Remember that?
Yeah, right.
They had the Roy Hargrove Memorial.
You're right. Right.
And so it's D, Jazz Times.
That is correct. Jazz Congress was a partnership between Jazz at Lincoln Center and Jazz Times Magazine. And our current score is Nathan 7, Muneer 4. But by the rules of the game, Muneer has an opportunity to catch up in our bonus round, which is next. Our bonus round question, Muneer, is going to deal with places. The Blue Note Jazz Club that began in New York City at 131 West 3rd Street in the Village has branches in which of the following cities? Is it A, Hong Kong, B, Seoul, South Korea, C, Beijing, China, D, Rome, Italy?
Oh shoot, you know that's a tricky question because
they got branches all over the place, right?
No, but I remember seeing a branch not in Rome but in Milan. Beijing, China. I never heard of a Blue Note being in Seoul or Hong Kong. I never saw a Blue Note Hong Kong Seoul. Never saw a Blue Note. I'm going to have to go with D. That's the closest.
D, Rome, Italy?
Yes.
That is incorrect. And that means that our reigning champion, Nathan Holaway, is our continuing champion. The correct answer to that question is the Blue Note Jazz Club has a branch in C, Beijing, China, among others. Congratulations to Nathan Holloway on your win. And we encourage each and every one of you to try your hand and play Jazzology. And if anyone watching would like to become a contestant on Jazzology, click the link below and simply fill out the form. You must be 18 years old or older, and be sure to follow us on social media at Jazzology Trivia Show to get all the latest news and updates. And thanks so much to Nathan Holloway, Muneer Nasser, and everyone who joined us for our 32nd episode of Jazzology today. And actually, this was episode 33. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 33 of Jazzology today. And remember, you can check out Jazzology every other Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you miss the show live, you can find the archive on the Savage Content YouTube channel. All right. See you guys. Take care, everyone.
Take care. Thank you.